In late April to early May 1943, near Tunis, Tunisia, Allied reconnaissance made the most valuable intelligence discovery of the North African campaign. They found a German Tiger tank, Tiger 712, abandoned, intact, and functional in an olive grove. Its massive 88mm gun was motionless. The crew had fled without placing demolition charges. This 60-ton steel monster would reveal not just German engineering excellence, but a critical strategic weakness, an appetite for fuel so massive it defied sustainable military operations. The North African campaign ended in disaster for Axis forces, with approximately 230,000 German and Italian soldiers surrendering between May 7th and May 13th, 1943. Among them were survivors from Heavy Panzer Battalion 501, equipped with the infamous Tigers. Tigers had made their North African combat debut on November 23, 1942, when 3 arrived in Tunis. Their reputation, earned on the Eastern Front, described a vehicle that could destroy Soviet T-34 tanks from distances exceeding 2,000 meters. The Tiger's 88mm gun, derived from Germany's effective anti-aircraft weapon, could penetrate any Allied tank's frontal armor at ranges where return fire was impossible. American forces first heard reports of the Super Heavy tanks in early February 1943. The descriptions, over 55 tons, 100 millimeters thick frontal armor, and a gun effective beyond 2 kilometers, seemed exaggerated to American tankers. The reality, however, exceeded the warnings. Operation Frühlingswind began on February 14, 1943, where Tigers reinforced the German attack on American positions at Faid Pass. The Battle of Sidi Bouzid on February 14th and 15th decisively demonstrated the Tigers' superiority. A counterattack by Combat Command C of the 1st Armored Division with 52 Sherman medium tanks resulted in 46 destroyed or disabled Shermans. Post-battle analysis revealed that most American tanks fell to smaller guns, proving Tigers were few in number, but their psychological impact was enormous. The Battle of Kasserine Pass introduced American ground forces to large-scale German armor combat. American Sherman tanks, mounting 75mm guns, had to close within 300 meters to have any chance of penetrating the Tiger's flank or rear armor. Tigers could engage effectively from 2,000 meters with virtual impunity from frontal attack. This reality led to what Army medical officers termed Tiger phobia among American tank crews. The mere report of Tigers in an area led American units to request air and artillery support before advancing. This psychological effect dramatically multiplied the Tiger's tactical value beyond its actual numbers, necessitating the development of specific training materials by March 1943. These materials emphasized the Tiger's limited numbers and vulnerabilities, but offered little tactical guidance beyond calling for artillery or air support. The final weeks of the Tunisian campaign in April and early May 1943 revealed a different, deeper Tiger vulnerability. Mechanical breakdowns, spare parts shortages, and fuel supply problems immobilized more Tigers than Allied action destroyed. Heavy Panzer Battalion 501 had arrived with 20 Tigers, but by the end of April, only a handful remained operational, the rest abandoned or destroyed by their own crews. Captured war diaries documented the deteriorating situation. By December 28th, 14 of 20 Tigers were operational, with 8 down for mechanical repairs and no spare parts available. By January 30th, 1943, only 11 Tigers remained operational, with fuel shortages becoming critical. March entries reported only 6 operational Tigers, while requests for spare engines were denied. The April 20th entry captured the desperation. Orders to retreat were issued, but fuel supplies were sufficient only for limited movement, forcing the abandonment of many Tigers. Demolition teams were overwhelmed, ensuring some vehicles, like Tiger 712, would inevitably fall into enemy hands intact. Lieutenant Sue of the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers documented the discovery of Tiger 712 on June 9, 1943. It sat functional and intact, which electrified Allied intelligence. Colonel George B. Jarrett, chief of the Foreign Material Branch at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland, realized this was an unprecedented intelligence opportunity to fully understand the most dangerous enemy tank. The recovery operation itself highlighted the Tiger's massive size and weight of 56.9 tons. Moving the tank required multiple M31 recovery vehicles designed for 30-ton Shermans, plus bulldozers and specialized heavy equipment. The journey to Tunis port, which normally took 4 hours, took 3 days due to the need to assess every bridge and road for load-bearing capacity. Loading the 65-ton combined weight onto the Liberty ship, SS Samuel Bush, required heavy lift cranes. Tiger 712 arrived at Aberdeen Proving Ground in mid-July 1943.
Testing at Aberdeen, the U.S. Army's premier testing facility, was comprehensive, covering armor, armament, reliability, mobility, and, most critically, logistical requirements like fuel consumption. Initial inspection confirmed the Tiger's impressive features, including interleaved road wheels with torsion bar suspension and a Maybach transmission offering 8 forward and 4 reverse gears. Its 88mm KWK 36 L56 gun fired armor-piercing rounds at over 900 meters per second. The armor protection, 100mm frontal hull and turret, and 120 to 200mm gun mantelet, made the Tiger effectively invulnerable to most Allied anti-tank weapons in a frontal engagement. However, the German technical specifications raised serious questions about operational sustainability. The tank carried 532 liters, or approximately 140 U.S. gallons of fuel. Its Maybach HL230 12-cylinder engine produced 690 horsepower, barely adequate for the 56.9-ton weight. Captured documents specified an operational range of only 195 kilometers, or 121 miles on roads, and a mere 110 kilometers, or 68 miles off-road. This was an alarmingly short operational range for American engineers accustomed to the Sherman's mobility. The testing program, which ran from July 1943 through January 1944, prioritized fuel consumption. Tests on paved roads confirmed German specifications. Tiger 712 consumed approximately 1.2 gallons per mile, yielding a theoretical maximum range of 117 miles. Cross-country testing, however, revealed dramatically worse fuel consumption. On Aberdeen's rough country course, the tank consumed 4.125 gallons per mile, reducing the operational range to approximately 34 miles under realistic cross-country conditions. Combat simulation tests produced even more alarming data, with fuel consumption reaching 6.1 gallons per mile, and operational range dropping to approximately 23 miles before fuel exhaustion. The test results presented a devastating strategic picture. The Tiger tank, tactically supreme, could not sustain extended mobile operations due to its massive fuel appetite. Aberdeen engineers calculated the logistics burden. Each Tiger required approximately 1,500 to 2,000 gallons of fuel weekly for active combat operations. A battalion of 20 Tigers needed 30,000 to 40,000 gallons weekly just for the tanks. For comparison, an American battalion with 53 Sherman tanks required about 65,000 gallons weekly for all vehicles. German heavy tank battalions with less than half the number of tanks consumed nearly as much fuel, and when support vehicles were included, they actually consumed more total fuel than American medium tank battalions. Colonel Barnes compiled the data into classified intelligence reports in October 1943, emphasizing that the Tiger's critical vulnerability was its fuel consumption, which limited its operational range to 30 to 40 miles under realistic combat conditions. The reports recommended strategies to interdict enemy fuel supply lines as an effective method of neutralizing the Tiger threat. Cross-referencing this data with captured German supply documents revealed the full scale of Germany's logistical nightmare. The analysis explained previously mysterious operational patterns. German heavy tank battalions rarely operated more than 30 to 40 kilometers from supply bases, avoided prolonged movements, and frequently assumed static defensive positions. This was not a tactical preference, but a logistical necessity. Captured German unit war diaries from multiple fronts confirmed this analysis. The heavy SS Panzer Battalion 101 war diary from Normandy in summer 1944 documented recurring fuel shortages. An entry from July 8th reported that pursuit was impossible because fuel supplies were exhausted after only 4 hours of combat. An August 6th entry reported 3 Tigers abandoned during withdrawal because they were mechanically functional but had empty fuel tanks. Similar patterns were documented in Italy and on the Eastern Front, confirming that everywhere Tigers operated, fuel shortages limited their effectiveness. American intelligence distributed tactical guidance by November 1943, advising units to avoid direct frontal engagement and instead maneuver to force Tigers to reposition. Extended maneuvering would rapidly exhaust the Tiger's limited fuel supplies, allowing immobilized Tigers to be bypassed or destroyed with artillery and air support. Training films incorporated these findings, noting that the Tiger consumed 3 to 6 gallons per mile in combat, while the Sherman consumed less than 1 gallon per mile. American crews were instructed to use their mobility advantage to make Tigers chase them, burning scarce German fuel.
The Normandy campaign in summer 1944 validated the analysis. As Allied forces broke out, heavy panzer battalions equipped with Tigers sought immobilized not by battle damage, but by empty fuel tanks. American armored divisions advanced 130 miles in 7 days during the breakout, an operational tempo the Tigers' 30 to 40-mile combat range could not match. The liberation of France provided overwhelming physical evidence, with reconnaissance units finding dozens of abandoned Tigers and Panthers with no significant battle damage, but all with empty fuel tanks. The Ardennes offensive in December 1944 exposed the fuel crisis catastrophically. German forces operating under strict fuel rationing and planning to capture Allied fuel dumps advanced only about 60 kilometers before fuel exhaustion stopped all movement. Tigers were left littering the roadsides, immobilized by empty fuel tanks. German officers openly discussed their desperate need to capture American fuel dumps, and the offensive collapsed when the Americans held them. Post-war records revealed that fuel shortages dominated German operational planning from 1943 onward. Each Tiger consumed approximately 300,000 gallons of fuel over its average service life, a quantity that could have powered 7 Panther tanks or 18 Panzer IV tanks. The final American assessment in March 1945 concluded that the Tiger I represented exceptional design for individual combat performance, but a catastrophic failure in logistical sustainability. Its fuel consumption made it operationally unsustainable in extended campaigns, especially under constant Allied air interdiction. Interrogated German engineers admitted that fuel consumption concerns were raised during the design phase, but were overruled by military demands for maximum armor and firepower. Engineers knew that no heavy tank weighing 55 to 60 tons could achieve acceptable fuel economy with 1942 technology. But military leadership demanded the heaviest armor and most powerful gun regardless of the logistical consequences. The result was a tank that could dominate any individual battle but could not sustain campaigns. The Tiger's fuel consumption became a prominent teaching example in post-war military education, illustrating the fundamental principle that a weapon that cannot be sustained in combat is not an effective weapon, regardless of tactical performance. Tiger 712 served as a physical reminder of the importance of logistics until 1989. Generations of American armor officers studied it, learning to balance firepower, protection, and mobility with sustainable logistics. The capture and testing of Tiger 712 fundamentally shaped Allied tank tactics. American crews learned that the fearsome Tiger possessed a vulnerability more significant than any weakness in its armor scheme. Understanding this vulnerability allowed Allied forces to develop effective counter-tactics that neutralized the Tiger's advantages without requiring equivalent armor or firepower. The lessons learned from Tiger 712 influenced American tank design for decades, ensuring that operational range remained a critical design parameter for subsequent armored vehicles. Even the M1 Abrams tank, introduced in 1980, maintains a sufficient operational range for deep strikes and mobile operations, a lesson learned partly from Tiger 712. The story of Tiger 712 teaches an enduring lesson. Superior weapons require sustainable logistics to achieve a strategic effect. The most powerful tank in the world becomes useless when immobilized, waiting for fuel trucks that never arrive. German engineering created a tactical masterpiece, but German logistics could not sustain it. Colonel George B. Jarrett's final assessment in June 1945 concluded that the Tiger tank achieved everything its designers promised tactically, but failed strategically because it violated the fundamental military principle of sustainability. The Tiger's extraordinary logistical demands made it ultimately unsustainable in prolonged warfare, proving that brilliant tactical capability cannot overcome inadequate strategic logistics. The tank that terrorized Allied crews became the teacher that shaped modern armored doctrine, not through its strengths, but through its greatest weakness. A tank that travels only 30 miles under combat conditions cannot win wars spanning entire continents. The capture and testing of Tiger 712 ensured that Allied forces understood completely that firepower means nothing without fuel to reach the battlefield. The 60-ton steel beast that once terrorized battlefields now teaches quietly in a Georgia museum. Its greatest contribution was not the enemy tanks it destroyed, but the understanding it provided about the essential relationship between tactical excellence and strategic sustainability. The most dangerous tank in the world was ultimately defeated not by superior enemy weapons, but by its own insatiable appetite for fuel.